Welcome into week 2 of the Belhaven Football Coaches Show. As always, I'm Kenneth Nash and joined by head football coach Blaine McCorkle. Coach, week 2, glad to have you here.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, so the Blazers are coming off of their first loss of the season. They opened up conference play against Southwestern University last Saturday, fell 34-27. We're going to talk a little bit about that on today's show. Some particular plays. Mario Asagunla had a really good day. We're going to talk about him. And then we're going to talk about this weekend's matchup against number 6 Hardin-Simmons. Coach, before we get into all of that, though, let's talk about the game overall. Just do an overall picture. Obviously, it was a close game, one-score game at the end of it. Felt like it could go either way, but in the end, it was Southwestern that edged it out.
Yeah, it was a really good game. If you're a fan sitting in the stands, you couldn't ask for a more exciting game. 34-27, one-score game at the end. A lot of action from both teams, physical game. So for the fan in the stand, fun game to watch. Obviously, we found ourselves on the short end of the score, much to our own fault. Southwestern's a really, really good football team. They have been for a lot of years. They've got a lot of tradition and history of being a fun team to watch, a hard team to prepare for, and a physical team, and that's exactly what they were Saturday night. And I don't know that we were as disciplined as we needed to be. We made some serious errors with penalties in the kick game, and that goes to the way our players find themselves preparing. So those are some things we've definitely addressed this week, and we'll get better at.
Yeah, you're talking about Southwestern, and they were obviously they're a really good football team. And we talked about last year, obviously we beat them at their place, but you talked about that's not necessarily the true tale of the tape for Southwestern. They had kind of an awkward spring season, more awkward than most. And obviously what we saw on Saturday, that did not look like the same football team. But what does it tell you that, a team that's been traditionally a very good team, that your guys were able to kind of go step for step with them? And frankly, if there's some mistakes that aren't made on our end, you'll probably have a better chance of coming out with a win on Saturday.
Yeah, well, what it tells us about our program as a whole is that 2 weeks in a row our stadium was packed, and when the game was over, they threw their Gatorade bucket on their coach.
I saw that, yeah.
And that's powerful. That there's a lot to be said for that, because when's the last time somebody beat Belhaven that they felt that the game was worthy of that?
Yep.
So it really speaks to the progress our program has made as a whole. We will never accept and we will never be satisfied with a loss, and there's some things that we've got to go to work on. But at the same time, that does speak to the respect I think that our program's earning around the conference. Headed into that game, we were on a 4-game winning streak. Had we won a 5th one, that would have put us as one of the hottest teams in the country probably in conversation. But we're still not mature enough as a program to handle those scenarios, and that's an area that we've got to get better. So we learned a lot about ourselves, and I think you're never going to be accepting of a loss for sure. We're here to win, and we make no bones about that, but there are some very valuable lessons I think we took away from Saturday night.
I want to talk a little bit about the defense, and in particular trying to contain Landry Gilpin. We talked about how good a football player he is. He had a nice night as well. He was ASC Offensive Player of the Week from last week as well. What does it do for y'all? Obviously, containing him is kind of a game and a matchup in and of itself, but what does it do for y'all being able to try to contain a quarterback this early in the season? How does that help you prepare for later on in the season?
Well, we'll learn from it. I don't know that we'll play another quarterback like Landry Gilpin at Southwestern. He is a dynamic athlete, and we knew it going in. We knew what he was capable of doing, and he is a true street brawler. That's what he is. That's his style of play. And as we went down and broke down the stats, on the plays that went as they designed, I think he had 82 yards passing and 59 yards rushing.
Yeah.
The plays that broke down, that he improvised and used his legs and did some things, the numbers were double that.
Yeah.
So learning to contain a player like that, be where you're supposed to be, have your eyes where they're supposed to be, tackle better. We had a lot of missed tackles that we've got to improve. Will definitely help us down the road. But he is a special kid, and I'm not going to take anything away from him. He's as good as there is in this conference.
Yeah, and one thing that I really took away was talking about Saturday's matchup. It felt like it was a matchup of the quarterbacks. Which kind of dual threat QB was going to make the final play. And we talked about Landry Gilpin, but Mario Asagunla had a really, really good football game on Saturday. If you look at the stats, he pretty much matched Landry in passing, was edged in about 15 or 20 yards, I believe, in rushing, but provided 3 total touchdowns that matched Gilpin's. Mario had one of the better games I've seen him play in terms of overcoming some adversity. He took some shots in this game. What can you talk about Asagunla's play and what he did Saturday for your football team?
Yeah, Mario played really well. I'm really proud of what he's done these first 2 games. I think right now, as a quarterback, he's 8th in the conference in rushing, and I think he's 3rd in passing. So statistically, he's off to a really, really good start. He leads the team well. Obviously, he's a dynamic athlete, as we all know. He's fun to watch. And he executed the game plan. I think he would have had a bigger advantage in passing, but the first third down of the game, he He throws a 30-yard strike to Mike Simpson that would have given us a first down and really given us a lot of early momentum, but we had a holding penalty that brought it back. And again, that speaks to some of these special teams and penalty miscues that we had. And when you've got a good, strong culture in your team and it starts to slip, the first place you notice is special teams and penalties.
Yep.
And that hurt Mario a little bit Saturday night, putting behind the opportunity to have some good momentum early. So proud of what he's doing. He's doing really well. We've just got to help him out in the other areas around him.
So the Blazers now 1-1 on the season. Obviously, they beat Millsaps week 1, fell to Southwestern. They'll look ahead to Hardin-Simmons. Before we do that, though, Coach, let's dive into some of these plays, some highlights. Obviously, the offense and Mario Asagunla had a really good weekend, and the defense was able to make some plays as well. Let's dive into some of those highlights here. So we got on this first play. This is Brad Foley, obviously all-time leading rusher, Belhaven history, punching in for the touchdown. Getting an assist from his offensive line here, particularly David Turner.
Yeah, we went to a heavy package there, about the 5 or 6 yard line, which is a little farther out than a lot of people like to, but we think that's our identity as an offense, and we can put David Turner in there as an extra offensive lineman sometimes, and he's our starting right guard, and so we shuffle some guys around and got really good push and let Brad poke it in from about 6 yards out there, and that was a good drive to come back as they were up 7-7 to even things out early in the first quarter.
Mm-hmm. And then the running game continued to go. This is a designed QB run. Gets a really, really nice lead block here. Mario Asagunla does first touchdown of the game for him.
Yeah, we were able to find some numbers and angles advantages formationally to get Mario to the edge into the boundary, which we came back to a lot in the second half. But another good way to cap off a good drive by Mario, poking it in there. I think that one put us up with 2-point conversion after 14-14, which was a score at the half. So much needed touchdown there late in the second quarter.
Mario kept doing it with his legs here. He's going to break this one off from about 35 yards out, able to scamper in. Nice little stiff arm at the end as well.
Yeah, it's actually the exact same play we saw before. Again, we had some numbers advantages formationally there, and we're able to get the ball into the boundary to the tight end side, and Mario hit it. Had some great blocking out front by the running back, Cole Gaddy, and a couple of the other offensive linemen pulling out in front. Played 2 centers in the game, and Cole Gaddy did a really good job on the perimeter. Mm-hmm. And he's really come a long way in doing some good stuff. So he had some good help there and got it in from about 35 out.
And then the final offensive highlight, Mario Asagunla once again, this time from a lot closer though, right outside the goal line. And this is just getting behind your blockers and sticking your nose in the end zone.
Yep, quarterback sneak, getting behind the big guys and just punching it in from about a yard out. The play before that, Brad had a really nice run where we thought he scored. Ball came loose and went through the corner of the end zone, but they spotted it there at the 1. But Brad did a really good job setting him up there to poke it in on the quarterback sneak from 1 yard out.
And then we'll take a look at the defense real quick. Obviously, it was a tough night just bottling up Landry Gilpin, but here they go for the handoff, trying to get outside the tackles. Defense right on top of it.
Yeah, defense did a good job here playing the gap scheme. They had the counter coming at them, and we were able to box it in and get some guys in the backfield and pin them in. That's what we were hoping to do all night with Landry Gilpin, is set some good edges, keep him contained in the box, and not let him get out. This is one of the few times that we were able to do that successfully. That play right there is actually an interesting. We'll see a lot of similar things this week against Hardin-Simmons, and hopefully we've learned from them, and we'll see more pictures like we just did this Saturday, as you saw there against Southwestern.
So obviously the Blazers do fall to Southwestern. Before we get into Hardin-Simmons, I just want to get what is your kind of message to the team after that loss? Obviously, in a weird way, kind of a humbling one. The Blazers were riding high. What's your message to the team to get them, refreshed and prepared for this weekend?
Well, hopefully it puts the chip back on their shoulder.
Yep.
And I think coming off a 4-game winning streak, dominating a school across the street who we're just better than right now. I think we got to feel a little bit better about ourselves than we should. Mm-hmm. And any program of significant sustained prominence knows that that's not how it works. And every time you go into one of these games, I always talk to the guys, you have to imagine what's Mike Tyson like the night before a game.
Yeah.
What's he like the morning when he wakes up to go into a heavyweight fight.
Yeah.
Well, he's probably not joking around and laughing and having a good time. He's probably focused about his business. And I think we let some of those things slip this week. And I think culturally we might have taken a step back. Probably we're a little bit feeling too good about ourselves. That's not taking anything away from Southwestern. They are a worthy opponent and they earned that win, no question. But I think if we can regather ourselves, refocus ourselves, and learn how to finish the business that we've been talking about for a year now, lessons will be learned from Saturday night for sure.
So the Blazers will, and there's no weeks off in the ASC, we know this, they're going to have to be keyed in every week, and especially this week. First road game of the season, you're heading to Abilene, number 6 Hardin-Simmons, one of the perennial best teams in the conference, perennial best teams in Division III, and they've looked so good so far this year. 2-0, haven't allowed a point defensively yet. They beat Wayland Baptist 49-0. They beat Sol Ross last week in their ASC opener 27-0. Hardin-Simmons, that program is obviously a really stout one. Your thoughts on kind of scouting them and preparing for them?
Well, they are as big, strong, physical, and fast as anybody you will see at this level. They're number 6 in the country. I'd like to see who the 6 in front of them are. Obviously, one of them is Mary Hardin-Baylor. They're right there with them.
Yeah.
I don't think there's much difference in the two.
Yeah.
Those two teams in our conference, it's phenomenal what they do. I tell people sometimes jokingly that, Mary Hardin-Baylor will routinely beat people 60, 70, 80 points.
Yeah.
Because they can.
Yeah.
Hardin-Simmons will beat people 60, 70, 80 points because they want to.
Yeah.
So they're going after you. And they play an angry, physical style of football that I really admire. And it's what I long for our program to be in style of play.
Yeah.
So I really like what they do. Coach Burleson does a great job. It's a great atmosphere to go play. It's going to be 97 degrees at kickoff, which is awesome out there in Abilene, Texas. Probably won't be much wind. So we'll be ready for that. We've got a good plan to have our guys ready to go to handle the conditions, but they always have a good crowd. You take the field and they'll have these 6 big white horses there you got to go past. It's pretty awesome to see. And, they'll have 100 players not dressed out in the end zone making a lot of noise from their JV team.
Yep.
They're a team that's going to have, 180 guys on their roster and a full JV schedule and 20 coaches, and good for them. They've earned everything that they've got. So it's an exciting opportunity for our team to truly see who we are and rebound a little bit.
Yeah, they took on Sol Ross, to open their season. I think the scoreline was a little bit closer than maybe we expected, but the defense for Hardin-Simmons really did a good job. Yeah. Held Sol Ross to under 200 yards of total offense, under 50 yards of rushing in the game. That defense obviously is going to be a test for your offense, who has really taken some considerable strides over the past 6 games or so. What are you trying to do to prepare that offense to take on that Hardin-Simmons defense? Yeah,
a couple takeaways from the Sol Ross film. One, I think Sol Ross is a much improved team.
Mm-hmm.
I think they had as good an offensive line showing as I've ever seen Sol Ross have in my time in this league. So give them credit; they're better. At the same time, I think Hardin-Simmons played a lot of people in the game.
Yeah.
Hardin-Simmons on the other side, you ask about the defense specifically, but offensively they played 2 full offensive lines most of the game. They got a lot of guys some experience. So score might be misleading a little bit. If it's 27-0 Hardin-Simmons, Hardin-Simmons is probably looking at that this week like a loss.
Yeah.
They're not used to playing games that close. So what they do schematically is really pretty simple. So we've just got to play our game, execute at a high level, play fast, play physical, and do what we do, because we know where they're going to line up. We know what they're going to do. They play a style of ball where they just kind of say, we're better than you. Okay, come beat us.
Yeah.
And most people can't. So we're going to go throw everything we got at them and see what happens.
You mentioned obviously Hardin-Simmons got a lot of rotation in offensively, and they still put together nearly 500 yards of total offense.
Yeah.
For your defense, which had a little bit of ups and downs against Southwestern, had some penalties that were at some inopportune times, they're going to be tested this week as well. Getting them back right, focused, and prepared for this matchup. What are you doing? What are you talking to your defense about?
Well, the quarterback again.
Yep.
We saw a great quarterback last week at Southwestern with Landry Gilpin. This kid for Hardin-Simmons is an ASC Player of the Year, and he is a phenomenal, pure quarterback. Different than what we saw last week against Southwestern, where this guy was an improviser and a street brawler and just running all over the place. This guy can run, and he can throw, he can do it all. And he's an All-American. Like I said, he's ASC Player of the Year. He's all that. So we've got to make him beat us. And they've got some guys on the edge. This Kevy Evans kid is dynamic. He can run. He's a great kick returner. They've got a big tight end back there that's as good as you'll see at a lot of levels. I think he could play for a lot of people. So, again, what they do is not complicated. We just got to execute, be where we're supposed to do, be where we're supposed to be, and do what we're coached to do, and let it fall where it will.
And then the last thing I want to talk about real quickly is special teams. Obviously, there were some ups and downs against Southwestern with special teams. That really seems a lot of times like it's what can we do right, and if you do that, that's going to take care of itself. Kind of resetting special teams going into this week. Is that kind of the mode? It's just reset, wipe it, let's start over, because we've got to get the little things right when it comes to that.
Yeah, we've made a lot of personnel changes in special teams. 21 points directly related to special teams last Saturday. We had the muffed punt, which led to a touchdown for them, gave them a short field. We had them 4th and 27. They punt. We're in great position to really take some momentum in the game. We muff the punt, give them the ball back. They go down and score. Come out in the third quarter, they fake a punt, deep in their territory, gives them momentum. Result is direct at the touchdown again. That's 14 points. Then we get the punt blocked. So 21 points directly to special teams miscues that we've got to address. And again, those are cultural things. Those are focus things. Those are attention to detail things. And they have definitely been addressed this week with personnel changes and emphasis and things like that. So hopefully we'll see a lot better showing with our kick game this Saturday.
And I lied to you. I got one more thing.
Okay.
Obviously, first road game of the season. After a loss, I've heard this before in all sports, after a loss to get out on the road and kind of get away from everything and be with just the team. Does that help you think, mentally? Just to, you're an enemy. You're going into enemy territory, and you get to get away from kind of your own comforts and just kind of be together as a team. Does that help you guys out?
It does. You know, the home field advantage thing is a little bit of a misnomer, I guess, sometimes in college football. Our kids like to travel. You know, you get on the bus, you get a day out of class, you get away from campus, you stay in a hotel, so we're all together. We're at home. Everybody goes to their dorm or their apartment, so you're a little bit disjointed after you break your meetings. Even though we keep them here till 9:30 at night, Friday night for home game, it's just different being together. As a whole, you eat better on the road, and you're not worried about who's coming to the game or whatever. It's just us being together, focused on a job to do. So our kids really enjoy away games. They like seeing what other people have, like seeing other atmospheres, and there's a lot to be said for that. So getting out of town and getting on the bus and clearing our minds will definitely be good for us.
So the Blazers will travel to Abilene this weekend. They'll take on number 6 Hardin-Simmons, 1 p.m. kickoff, correct? 1 p.m. kickoff in Abilene. Make sure to tune into that. Check that out. The Blazers then will be back home taking on Austin College 2 weeks from now, so be sure to be back in Belhaven Bowl Stadium for that. For our production crew, I'm Kenneth Nash. Coach McCorkle, thanks for joining us.
Thanks a lot.